You've heard people say bonds are safe, right? But you don't know what you actually need to buy them. If you have a little cash, internet, and a bank account, you might be closer than you think. Let's dive in. So, today I'm going to talk about the 4/5 things that you need to have in order to invest or to buy bonds. Now, in the climate that we're in, the time of this video being recorded, we are in the month of June, and it's quite a bit happening. We, some may say, are edging on World War III. The stock market is doing its thing. So it's now more than ever that you need to be sure you have bonds in your account, in your investment portfolio. So, what I'm going to talk about is what do you need, right? I've talked in several videos. I've been doing a series on bonds, talked about what a bond is, the credit ratings, what type of bonds you should be looking for. And so today I want to talk about, well, what do you need to buy a bond? Because when I looked to go buy my first bond, I was like, wait a minute, what's going on here? And so I want to help you understand, the things that you will need to buy a bond. So, of course, as per usual, what I'm going to do here is share my screen so that you can see with me what you need. So, the first thing you'll need to know is okay, what you will need to know what type of bond, okay, you're going to buy. And you might be saying, well, why do I need to know this? Well, you need to know this because not all bonds are created equal, right? What type of bond? And so some bonds you can buy on the stock market, and others you have to go to the actual Treasury Direct website to buy those bonds. And so if you were to buy, let's say, a Series I or Series 1 bond, then you'll go directly to the Treasury website and buy it that way. So you wouldn't have a need to go to the stock market. But for all other bonds, if you want to buy bonds in a company that's publicly traded or other parts of the government, you will definitely need to go to the stock market, which leads me to my next thing. Now, once you've identified the type of bond that you want, you're gonna, depending on the type. So um, if not a series bond, if it's not a series I bond, then you will need a brokerage account. Okay. Some of you, if you've been on this channel for a while, I've kind of went over, what a brokerage account is, what you will need for the brokerage account, and stuff of that nature. And so, of course, just to kind of go over it a little bit with you, when you are opening a brokerage account, well, you're going to need some things and you're going to need some personal things. I was doing a workshop once and one of the participants, we were opening the brokerage account and he goes, it's asking me for a lot of private stuff. Well, yes, because you are actually putting your money, right? This is your hard earned money that you're putting in somewhere. And so they don't want fraud and, money laundering and those type of things. So it's important that you verify your identity, right? I remember once I had to verify an address, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. But at any rate, you're going to have to put in your social security number, your address, and the next thing that you're going to need, right? If you are going to be buying a bond, you're going to need to have your bank account handy. And this is also going to be needed. Well, you don't have to have it when you're setting up your brokerage account, but it's going to be needed though if you are in fact investing or buying bonds. You're going to need a bank account. Why are you going to need a bank account? Because once you connect, you cannot just go and buy, right? I always say the stock market is like you go to the grocery store or you go to the farmer's market and you buy food, buy groceries. And you just go and you swipe your credit card. Well, there's no credit card to swipe here. And so you will need a bank account, and that bank account will have to have, you guessed it, money. So you are going to also need money in order to make this transaction happen. And so what happens here, you link your bank account to the brokerage account, okay? And so you will transfer money over. Now, I will implore you that sometimes when you transfer money over, it does take a while to settle, especially if you're new to the different platform. And so what that means is if you want to invest in the bond like as soon as possible, you want to make sure that you transfer that money over ASAP. Now, as it relates to the money, I want to make a big point here. In one of the previous videos, I talked about buying an individual bond versus buying a bond fund. And so when I went to buy my first bond, I think I was buying a government bond. I can't remember which. And I like clicked on like ready to buy, and that thing said I needed $1,000. And so, if you recall, and if you haven't watched it yet, I'm going to link it here in the video where I talked about individual bonds versus bond funds. Individual bonds will require you to have a minimum amount, some $1,000. And so, if you don't have that, definitely look into investing in bond funds, right? You're not required to have a minimum amount. And so sometimes that's better. And I also mentioned that it's better, especially if you're a newbie, because you are like you're limiting the risk. Some may say it's less risky because if interest rates, are fluctuating, then typically the bond fund, whoever is managing it, will try to make sure that stuff stay equal for the time you jumped in. But at any rate, you will have to have money, some type of money. So once you determine the type of bond that you're going to buy, if it's not a Series 1 bond or a Series I bond, some may say, then you will need a brokerage account. Okay. And so with the brokerage account, and if you're not familiar with that, brokerage accounts are like Robinhood, Vanguard, Charles Schwab, Fidelity, right? Those are what we are referring to when we talk about brokerage accounts. And if you're not familiar with that, I'll link the video where I talked about why I have 3 different brokerage accounts. But yes, you would want to have a brokerage account in order to make your transfers with your bank account. Okay. And so of course, let me kind of share everything again with you, right? So if you determine the type, if it's not a Series 1, okay, if it's not that, then you go here and you're going to need your brokerage account. Okay. Once you get your brokerage account, then you have to link your bank account. And what you're going to do is transfer your money over. Now, the 5th thing, I always want to add this, and I add this for a lot of things. As an investor, you always want to keep learning. And so here, I will say you have to gather LE. There we go. Knowledge. Okay. You always want to gather knowledge because I'm just somebody on the internet. Okay. I'm just going to be real. I'm somebody on the internet and I'm sharing my experiences with you. And of course, I want the best for you, but you also want to learn for yourself. So do watch other videos, do read, do listen to audiobooks, right? One of the great books that I've been listening to, The Intelligent Investors, that's one of the ways I even learned about bond to begin with. And so reading is fundamental, or in this case, audiobooks are fundamental. So yeah, so, re-up on your knowledge. Don't just take one video and run with it, right? Do some research and look into these different types of bonds. And, as you learn, because times and things have changed. I just read a book that was written in 2000. We're 25 years later. And some of the things that were in the book, while some are applicable now, are not applicable today. And so you want to make sure you re-up on your knowledge when you're looking to invest in anything, whether it's bond, real estate, or the stock market. So thank you for tuning in. I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, and if you have a bestie, a friend, or a family member who you want to get wealthy on the journey with you, do share this video with them. And if you're not subscribed already, like, share, and subscribe. We love to help other people get wealthy. Well, I do at least. So until next time, see ya. That was much better.